Well, for our next talk, please welcome María Cruz, Program Manager of Community Engagement at Google. She will review what is the key value of the community in any open source project. You'll check real-life examples of community members who learned a new technology, expanded their expertise, and sometimes even became community leaders for the project to help others. This talk aims to inspire participants in what it means to be part of a community and how to make this a welcoming space for others to access and learn. Maria, be my guest.
Hi everybody, my name is María Cruz. I'm a program manager in the Google Open Source Programs office, and I'm here to present Learning in Public, how you can learn new technologies faster and easier with the help of open source communities. So let's go ahead and get started. So let me start by how I got here. I am a white, cisgender, queer Latina immigrant in the US. I was born and raised in Argentina. I graduated from college with a BA in communications with an emphasis in journalism. After that, I studied for a year in Berlin at the European College of Liberal Arts, now Bard College Berlin. Upon returning to Argentina, I worked in a marketing startup and then in the nonprofit side of an oil company, YPF. After that, I entered the open source sector when I started working as a communications manager at Wikimedia Argentina, the local chapter of the Wikimedia Foundation, which champions Wikipedia at the local level. A year later, in 2014, I started working at the Wikimedia Foundation, and I moved to San Francisco in 2015. In 2019, I left my job at Wikimedia and started working as a contractor for the Google Open Source Programs office. In February 2020, I converted from contractor to staff, or became a Googler, working in community engagement for cloud-native projects. In this presentation, I am going to talk about what learning in public means and how the community plays a key role in this process. I thought I could start by sharing my first contribution to an open source project because I know that contributing can sometimes feel intimidating to people, and it can feel a little bit more unnerving than it actually is. My first contribution to Wikipedia was a how-to article that explained to other Wikipedians how to organize an editathon, or editing marathon, on Wikipedia, an event where the community of existing and prospective editors of Wikipedia gathered to edit the free encyclopedia, create new articles and improve existing ones around a specific topic, like, for example, women in science. The good thing is that anyone can organize an editathon, but until April 2013, there was no guide on Wikipedia that covered how to do it. Up until then, only existing organizers were able to leverage their own knowledge to create this type of event. The article I created with this contribution was important so that other Wikipedia editors could step up as organizers. Other than the article, I created a video that explains what the event is about. I did this on a platform named Video that at the time allowed any user to create their own animated videos with a Creative Commons license. I was able to retrieve the video, which you can see in the slide, but some graphics are not working anymore. The bad thing was that not all the components of the video could be published with a free license. At this point, in my first contribution, it was key to rely on the Wikimedia community to understand the reach and limitations of a Creative Commons license. In the end, we had to unpublish the video because some graphics were not copyrighted. As I was learning about the contribution rules for Wikimedia projects, the thinking phase in this slide represents an aha moment that I had. All of this conversation about the video and if it could be published with a Creative Commons license or not happened over email on the communications mailing list of Wikimedia. I was new to the movement, and at the time I thought I had to respond to everybody who responded to my original email. Later on, I realized that other people pitching in to the thread were not responding to me individually, but rather that my email had inspired a debate about the scarce knowledge around open source licenses, the little coverage trademark has, and other related topics. Ever since then, I started to observe that there is something bigger than individual contributions and individual lessons. It is the community that upholds the project and makes it accessible to others. I think this definition is appropriate to describe why it is important to connect with the community in a technological space that is new to us. Let's take a look. A community is the mental and spiritual condition of knowing that a space is shared, and that the people that partake in that space define and restrict the possibilities in each person's life. This is from Wendell Berry in The Long-Legged House from 1969. So, our capacity to grow, to expand into the unknown, is grounded in our ability to develop this support network. Nowadays, nobody learns anything new in solitude, disconnected from everything. Even people who choose to be self-taught learn through reading what other people have written. Imagine then how much the possibilities expand if, on top of connecting with new ideas and concepts, we connect with the people that implement them. In her book, Working in Public, The Making and Maintenance of Open Source Software, Nadia Ekbal states that today our relationship to content is less important than the relationship with the person who creates it. If we can build a significant connection with others, we can open our intellect to new knowledge. Now I will share a few examples to show what value other people have found in creating community. Wikimedia, as I was saying before, is the social movement behind Wikipedia, and its communities are distributed all over the world. They come together in person in a couple of occasions on any non-pandemic year, for events like Wikimania and the Wikimedia Conference. Overall, between 74% and 81% of participants to international events stated that the conference inspired them to start a new initiative or program, and a quarter of these initiatives are regional cooperations. In this case, the community is the main catalyzer for collaboration and innovation. In 2019, I interviewed different organizers about the value of meetups in the open source sector. Among my goals, I wanted to understand the origin of one of the largest big data groups in the Bay Area, SF Big Data Analytics, that has almost 15,000 members. When I asked what their motivation was to start the group, one of the organizers said that the data analytics technology was moving really fast, and he needed to create a space where he could learn from bigger companies how they solve big data problems. This way, his company wouldn't fall behind in the implementation of data modeling and good practices. The community he created gave access to knowledge that is rarely documented in public, and in this way, they generated resources so that everybody that took part could remain at the avant-garde of data streaming and data analysis. In another interview for that same project I was working on, I talked to one of Apache Beam's organizers. Apache Beam is an open source software for data streaming. The person I interviewed had started the meetup group Apache Beam London that now has almost 700 members. When I asked the organizer why he got involved in creating a community, he told me that he needed to learn how to use Apache Beam for his job in a financial consulting firm in London. Matthias' role as a community organizer started in May 2017, but didn't end there or with that group in London. Today, he is a co-organizer of 4 other Apache Beam groups in Europe. And for the last 2 years, he is also one of the organizers of the Beam Summit, contributing to the promotion of use cases and trainings in this data streaming technology. To put together this presentation, I also spoke with Constanza, a front-end developer in Argentina that used to be a co-organizer of the meetup group JavaScript 101 in Buenos Aires. This group offers training on the fundamentals of this language for people who are beginning to learn how to code. When I asked her why she joined as an organizer, she told me that she had learned a lot and everything had been really useful. Since the classes are for free, she wanted to contribute something back to the group. With this community as a starting point, Constanza was able to help others learn the way that she had learned. And she told me that nowadays many of the participants are good friends or even her colleagues. Another example I wanted to share is that of Anaí Ulrich. Anaí joined the Knative community meetup in May and shared a presentation about her journey and how she started learning about Knative. Some months ago, in November 2020, she became acquainted with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation landscape, which is this graphic you can see here. For those of you who are not familiar with it, this is a graphic that maps different technologies by category and use. Anaí said that for somebody that is pretty new to the industry, this map can be quite overwhelming. There are so many projects you can use. Some of them overlap, some of them you can use instead of others, and all of this can be quite confusing, she said. Anaí mentioned different resources she used, reading books, blog posts by others, to find a point of reference to start developing her solution. Given that she started her learning journey during the pandemic in 2020, one of the key pain points was not being able to meet people, get to know them, and learn from them what solutions had worked in their context and why. In this context of isolation, she decided to take her learning journey in public and create videos for what she called 100 Days of Kubernetes, diving into a different Kubernetes topic each day. Anaí said that by making it public, people started to reach out to her to help, and that her journey in turn was helping others that were just starting like she was. So while she couldn't find the community, the intention to connect was there, and the Knative community ended up finding her. When she published her video for Day 24, where she oversees Knative, I reached out to her to present about what she had learned to the Knative community. She had started to engage with the community in April this year, and she was very grateful about how welcoming the community was and how safe she felt asking beginner questions. In the picture, we can see Anaí presenting the CNCF landscape of projects. By the time she got to show her demo of Knative at the meetup May, she was nervous and asked not to be judged. She even questioned whether she should show something so simple, but of course she was encouraged to do so. And Anaí received a lot of great feedback from the Knative community. As to me, my learning mindset took me down paths I never imagined before. In September 2009, as I was saying, I started working for the Google Open Source Programs Office as a contractor, and one of my first jobs was working in the production of the Beam Summit. In a week, I learned about data streaming, and in the second week, sitting through presentations at the summit, I learned Apache Beam's competitive differentiators, one of which is the ability to write pipelines in 3 different languages: Python, Java, and Go. In this picture, I'm having a burger with a community of Beam organizers during a lunch break. My learning journey didn't end there, of course. In February 2020, I converted from contractor to permanent employee with a new challenge ahead, understanding cloud technologies and working on content and community engagement for Kubernetes, Knative, Istio, and gRPC. I have come to understand that learning is an attitude that you need in life, and it's also a journey that is never done. So, in my experience, communities keep us connected and inspired, and they also accompany us in the learning road towards using new technologies. And this is important because learning can be a vulnerable space to be in, because we're out of our sphere of control and trying to grow into a space that we don't know very well. And on top of that, the tech world can be very competitive and overwhelming. So learning in public becomes even more challenging. But always remember this: no one learns in a vacuum. The community has the power to change the experience you have in this learning process. If you take anything from this talk today, let it be this: start your learning journey with an intention to connect to others. And this sense of community will drive the collaboration you need to grow and expand in new ways. So, I hope that you enjoyed my presentation, and I look forward to connecting you with you in the rest of the summit.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining Apache Beam Day on Google Open Source Live.
And finally, we'll just make some minor modifications to the code.
I'm adding a hello handler function.
With that, it's time for the after party.